I think we'll move on because I think we both are in agreement, and I think a lot of Cavs fans agree. Brandon Ingram, he should be a guy that the Cavs look at. But another guy I think the Cavs should maybe look at is actually, look, injury standpoint, this guy's been out for a long time, but he kind of fits the mold that I'm looking at with the Cavs, and no one's really talked about him. But what about Donte DiVincenzo from the Bucks? Hasn't played in a bit, but he's a three-point shooter, can defend the perimeter. Again, I don't know how much he'll be wanting, but the Bucks seem like they have moved on. Like Grayson Allen is tearing it apart right now for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Do you think DiVincenzo would be an option for the Cavs?
That wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't be bad, but what would you give up though?
Because he's a free agent though, at the end of the year.
But isn't but then again, he is a restricted. Man, because they could opt out because we've seen it last season. I forget because it was two instances where teams did not take the or even with Denzel Valentine, they didn't. They turned down the odds with Chicago. So maybe, but I think Donte has a little bit more value though.
Ooh.
I think that might be an instance of a sign and trade.
Does he have more value than Grayson Allen? Is he better? Because Grayson Allen is averaging 14 this year, which is crazy numbers, and his three-point percentage is like 40 plus. So it makes me think, like, if Donte returns, because he's been out for so long, if Donte returns and he's only averaging 10 points or something like that, which is very possible, what do you do if you're the Bucks? Do you start Grayson Allen and it's a very tricky one.
It's a tricky situation because it depends on a lot of things, right? Yeah. Because if it gets a little bit closer to playoff time, right now I think it makes sense to just let Grayson Allen run. I think it makes sense to keep him there. He's hot right now. The problem they take, which I think you understand too, is that means Donte is going to be in a situation where he loses a little bit of his steam now, right? Because first couple games, he looked really impressed. A lot of people was impressed.
That's going to be. They've won a championship without him. Last year, they won it without him. Remember, he wasn't starting. They started PJ Tucker because Donte was injured and he hasn't come back since.
Yeah.
But if they were to sign and trade him, right, what would his worth be? Like what?
I think in terms of his value, I think that might be determined based off of how far the Bucks go this off. Because I think Donte has some decent value, but at the same time, I think the Bucks is in a situation now that they got Giannis maxed out, Drew and Chris Middleton maxed out. To an extent, they do have to preserve some money to make sure they can get some talent, but at the same time, they can't just willy-nilly lose talent because last season he lost PJ Tucker for nothing.
Yeah.
Right? In this situation now, they have a talent that doesn't have an unrestricted free agent, so they can actually get something for him in return. It's just a matter of how they're going to do it and who's out there, who's available. So, It depends. I think it depends on a lot of factors. It depends on how Brook Lopez comes back. I think it depends on how DeMarcus Cousins, what he brings to the team. If Grayson Allen can continue this, because if he does, then you're saving money on Grayson. So it depends and how close it gets to the finals.
Yeah. It's very true. And you look at it too. Grayson Allen, they extended for I think they extended him for around $10 million a year or something, which people they were like, that's a crazy signing before I think he got extended, which looking back at it now, that was very good. They did it before the season started. You still got Lopez, who's on around $11 million per season, and Drew Holiday's on like $40 million a season. It's like if the Cavs come out of nowhere and offer DiVincenzo like $11 million a season or whatever, if you're the Bucks, I still think they sign him to that. But then it's like, well, does he want to stay? Do they work on a sign and trade? And I think it's as well as what's his performance going to be like? Does he come back good or does he come back average? What's the type of situation? I think it's going to be really, really tough to kind of see. But yeah, I think it will come down. Is a couple second round picks, or is it a protected first round pick? Another role player getting added into it. I wouldn't be mad if the Cavs got DiVincenzo at all, to be honest. But yeah, I wouldn't overpay. I wouldn't give up a first round pick that's just like not protected, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I just feel like it's tricky because I'm now put up his stats, right?
Mm.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare that to Lauri Markkanen's stats, right?
Ooh, okay.
And Lauri,
because yeah, Lauri Markkanen did get like a $17 million per year type deal.
yeah, because I'm looking at it. I mean, Lauri did come out to get, he was averaging double digits since he came out. So, but Donte is only, well, after.
Thing is, too,
yeah,
we got to.
I guess we have to pay up cheaper. So yeah, he
Yeah.
probably look at like 10, maybe 5 to 10 million a year.
We got to consider too that free agency sucks next year. Remember,
Yeah,
so teams may be looking to offer him some more money just to get him to the team.
Yeah, but then you also got to understand too that a lot of teams is capped out too. Like, because you got to think Cleveland and it's another team or two other teams that have like that type of max dollars, right? And because this free agency is so weak, I don't think a lot of teams are going to risk paying out players that they don't feel like is valuable. So he's going to be in a situation where I can see him not getting the money he probably prefers, but at the same time, like the teams he's probably going to attract is those young teams that wasn't going to be free agent targets anyway. So like that's where you got the Cavs, you got the Kings, maybe the Wizards. I think the Wizards are going to look for a player like him.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, it's going to be like those type of teams. So yeah,
OKC will be trying to stack up next year too. They'll be. I have a feeling OKC are going to go hard. They got to go hard in free agency soon, right? They've got like 70 million available, and you've got so many first round picks that it's kind of just like, well, surely you got to go for some. You got to go for some players soon, I reckon. But I wouldn't mind him on the team. Those are the two players though that I've come up with: Brandon Ingram and DiVincenzo. I think if we could get both of them, we would be a pretty interesting team to watch.
Tell me about it. It's another player too I would be interested in, and it's crazy because people do not credit him a lot. I think Harrison Barnes would be another great player too, especially since we can switch him at the 4 and 3 and 4, depending on how, because he's been playing really good at the 4 in Sacramento. He's been playing really good at the small forward as well. He's just an older guy. He's kind of costly, but I think he would be to an extent how Rubio is. The only difference is I won't say really the only difference is, but he would really show us. Well, yeah, the only difference is, we wouldn't have the intent to flip him right away, like I think we have with Rubio.
Yeah.
I think Barnes would be in the perfect niche of like veteran leadership, but at the same time show us truly what we need at that position, And I think Harrison Barnes does that.
Yeah, that's a tough one too. You kind of look at it though, well, because if you don't get Brandon Ingram, do you say, well, do we go out and get Barnes, or do we just keep developing a core and hope he comes through? Because Barnes, you'll have to give up a first round pick most likely. He's on 22 million a year. It's just like, well, do we go for him or do we just wait? Because honestly, I talked about this too. If we don't get Ingram, I honestly would just save up the money and just wait till next free agency and see who's available, But yeah, Barnes is a tough one. Very tough.
I agree with that, truly, because that means if we skip on this offseason, assuming, that means we'd be relieved of Kevin Love's contract, and we would have known if we have if we extended Colin or not.
Yeah.
So
I have a feeling we're just not. I'm like, I've said this so many times, and Cavs fans get angry at me like every time I say it, but I am almost certain that Sexton will not be on the team next year. Like I just don't see a way where he's on the team next year. Everything we have heard, and this is not me, this is not even me just saying I think Sexton's bad or whatever. Everything we have heard has pointed to Sexton not being on the team next year.
Yeah, man, trust me, I can relate because I've been getting messages like, "You a Colin Sexton hater?"
Yep.
Like no, I'm not a Colin Sexton hater. It's just if you watching what I'm watching, and then you seeing what I'm seeing on Bleacher Report and ESPN and all these news outlets, these reliable news outlets, you got people literally saying that people are not seeing Colin Sexton as someone that's going to stick around in Cleveland because of a lot of factors: his health, his development, and his contract. Cleveland can't be in a situation. And I've been telling people this even before we really got deep in this contract extension year, where I was like, we were going to be in a position where we would have to decide between him and Garland, right? Like even with the second situation, because it's like you cannot be in a situation where you max out or give 2 6'1" guards who has not made it to the offs yet $150+ million a year.
I agree.
That's just crazy. So, and I know people saying, he can take some 6-man money, but I just don't see him doing that.
Oh, he's not going to do that. If he can start on another team at point guard, he's doing that every day of the week. It's just, well, me and you know. Why do other people not realize what we know? We both know, like, this guy is getting, I honestly think there's an 80% chance or more that Sexton is not on the team next year. And I really think that injury just did not help him. Like, he probably knows that he won't be on the team.